Today we're going to talk about Canon's brand new 10 to 20 millimeter f4 lens. Now you might be asking, why do you need a 10 millimeter lens? Well, this is why. One of our favorite uses of the super wide angle lens is to get stadium photos. Last year we shot photos of our stadium with this 8 to 15 EF lens adapted for the RF mount. And here you can see at 15 millimeters the distortion of the stadium. What we did was we shot a photo of the stadium like this and then corrected the distortion in post. So first of all, here's at 15, 14, 12, where you start to see the edge of the frame come in, 10, and 8. So as you can see, in this 8 to 15 lens, really to be a full frame usable shot, it's at 14 millimeters, which just isn't enough, especially with the amount of distortion that you're adding. All right, so here we are with the 11 to 24 EF lens. And here's a photo at 24, 18, 14, 12, and 11. And I always feel like with this lens, 12 is kind of the sweet spot as for as wide as you really want to go with it. The amazing thing is that this building is actually holding up this lens. Right now we're going to show what it looks like with the Canon RF 15 to 35 lens. First of all, I'm going to start here at 35, 24, 20, and 15 millimeters. Now 15 millimeters looks pretty good, but what bothers me is that the scoreboard, it's cut in half because it's just not wide enough. And there you are starting to see, if you look at the edges, down the bottom edge of the field, that distortion. That's why this lens is not ideal to get our overall shot. All right, and here we are with the 10 to 20, and I'm going to start at 20, 15 millimeter, 14, 12, 11, and 10 millimeter. And as you can see at 10 millimeters, look how straight the lines on the field are and how much straighter the horizon is. We actually still have the full scoreboards in the frame, and that's going to be really usable. Although we do have a little bit of us at the top and bottom corners, we have a little bit of the edge of the frame that we're going to have to clip out later. That's amazing. I am excited to use this next season. The real question is, what makes this lens different? And that's the fact that it's a rectilinear lens. What that means is, well, normally with the wide angle lens, you have distortion, right? Especially on the edges of the frame where lines curve. With a rectilinear lens, it corrects for that distortion. So straight lines stay straight.
All right, practical application. How does this thing work in the real world? So I used it for 2 basketball games. The first game, I used it mainly pre-game, getting overall photos during the game and post-game. The second game, I was really curious how it would work as a remote underneath the basket. So let's dive into the photos and take a look. So here's just a few examples pre-game. Walking down the hallway, the video that plays at the beginning of the games. And then I got right in the middle of the huddle, laying down on the ground. Just gives a different perspective, different angle. Here's kind of not quite, well, yeah, it's an overall. This was shot at 20 millimeter. So it goes in tight enough that you can still get, a decent overall. If you shoot at 10 millimeter, this is what you're going to get. And this was only, 20 or so rows up. So there's 10, here's 20. So you can kind of see the difference and the range that you get with your overalls from 10 to 20 right there. There's also a 10 millimeter at the timeout. And then post game, high fives with the fans walking back into the locker room. A couple shots with the locker room. But one thing that you'll notice with this lens is you see the vignetting around the side. I believe it's capturing the corners of the lens hood when you're shooting at 10 millimeter. So my recommendation would be either go into about 11 millimeter or so, or you can use the lens profile correction in Camera Raw. So if you click that, you can see it kind of just crops in a little bit. You lose about 1 millimeter or so around the edges that it cuts off. So you can use that and it'll fix it, but just keep in mind that it will crop in essentially 1 to 2 millimeters when you do that to correct for it. So now for the next game, I used it as a remote. So as you can see in this image, it is super wide. You get the pad from the basket up above and there's a lot of floor in there, but I just wanted to try it out. We went to the arena the day before the game and just put the camera with the lens underneath just to see what it would look like. And like, this could be really cool if we cropped it more as a panorama. So I could see application for this if it's a really big game and you want to show the whole environment with the action that's happening. So basically, this is one that you're going to need to crop top to bottom and side to side. So you are cropping in quite a bit. I mean, the problem here is you got the camera guys on the side with their feet and their knees in the shot. But if you crop into the edge of the pad, I mean, that's kind of what you're going to get. So you're probably thinking, well, why don't you just move the camera out further from underneath the pad so you don't see it? Well, this lens is so wide, the reality is it's right at the edge. Like, this lens is right at the threshold, and I can't push it out anymore because a couple of reasons. One, safety of the players. I don't want anything to happen where if they come into the pad that the camera is in a position to do any kind of harm or damage. Two, I want to protect my equipment. So this camera's already pushed out to the edge of that pad, and still you're getting that frame around it. Here's some other ones that are cropped a little bit wider. So you can get some really nice panoramic shots during the basketball games or whatever you're using it for. So overall feelings of this lens, I think it's awesome. The reality is, at 15 millimeter, this lens is going to be exactly the same as the 15 millimeter on your 15 to 35. So if you don't need anything wider than 15 millimeter, I would not give this lens. But if you just need that little bit extra, I would totally recommend this lens. There's a couple shots in here, like the pre-game shot where I'm laying on the ground getting the team huddle. You can't get that with a 15 millimeter. It's not possible. It's not wide enough. So for things like that, love it. Really nice specialty lens. For the remote camera under the basket shots, I think I'll be pretty selective when I use it. I think it would be a pretty big game that I would really want to capture the whole arena, the whole environment. Other than that, I'll probably keep using the 15 to 35. Another benefit of the lens is it is super small, especially compared to the EF version, the 11 to 24. I mean, this thing weighs probably half the amount and is half the size. So that aspect alone, space in your camera bag and weight when you're traveling, love it. Absolutely love it. Another thing to consider is this is an f4 lens. So if you need the light, then the 15 to 35 is probably the way to go at 2.8. But if light's not an issue, the f4 gives you a little bit more depth. For what I've been using it for, it's great. Thanks for watching. We'll be doing more gear reviews in the future, so make sure to subscribe so you can watch those, and we'll see you on the next video.